The book of Job is one of the books of the Hebrew Bible and is considered one of the most profound and challenging works in the Old Testament. It tells the story of Job, a righteous man who suffers a series of catastrophic events, including the loss of his wealth, his family, and his health. Job questions why he has been afflicted with such terrible suffering, and his friends offer various explanations, but none satisfy him. Ultimately, God Himself appears to Job and offers no explanation for his suffering, but reminds him of the limits of human understanding and the power of faith. The book of Job is a meditation on the nature of suffering, the problem of evil, and the mystery of divine justice. Its themes have resonated with readers throughout history and across cultures, and it continues to be widely studied and interpreted by scholars and religious believers alike. The book of Job is one of the most profound and thought-provoking works in the Hebrew Bible. It is a poetic and philosophical exploration of some of the most profound questions that have plagued humanity since the dawn of time. The book tells the story of Job, a wealthy and righteous man who lives in the land of Uz. He is described as a man of great wealth, with a large family, and a devout follower of God. However, his faith is soon tested when God allows Satan to inflict terrible suffering on him. Job loses everything he has, his wealth, his children, and his health. He is left sitting in ashes, covered in sores, and consumed by grief and despair. The rest of the book is devoted to a series of conversations between Job and his three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. They come to comfort Job but end up offering him unsolicited advice and accusations, suggesting that his suffering is a punishment from God for some sin he must have committed. Job vehemently denies their accusations and defends his innocence, even as his condition worsens. He begins to question the nature of suffering, the justice of God, and the meaning of life. He asks why the righteous suffer, and why the wicked prosper. He wonders if God is just, or if He is capricious and arbitrary. He questions the very foundation of his faith, and wonders if it has all been for nothing. The book of Job does not offer any easy answers to these questions, but it does explore them in depth and with great insight. It offers a nuanced and complex portrayal of the human condition, and a profound meditation on the limits of human understanding. It challenges us to confront the problem of evil, and to wrestle with the mysteries of life and death. And it offers us a vision of hope, and a way to find meaning. Job's friends offer various explanations for his suffering, ranging from the idea that he must have sinned and brought this punishment upon himself, to the notion that God must have had some higher purpose in mind. However, Job remains unconvinced by these arguments and continues to struggle with the injustice of his situation. He pleads with God to explain why he is suffering, but receives no clear answer. In the final section of the book, God Himself appears to Job in a whirlwind and delivers a series of speeches that emphasize the limits of human knowledge and the power of faith. God challenges Job to consider the vastness and complexity of the natural world, and suggests that the mysteries of suffering and divine justice are beyond human understanding. Job, humbled by this encounter, repents and acknowledges the greatness of God. The book of Job is a profound and challenging work that raises difficult questions about the nature of suffering and the problem of evil. It offers no clear answers, but instead invites readers to contemplate the mystery of divine justice and the power of faith in the face of adversity. The book has been studied and interpreted by scholars and religious believers for centuries, and continues to resonate with readers today. The story of Job in the Hebrew Bible is a profound exploration of the human experience of suffering and the search for meaning in the face of inexplicable hardship. Job, a wealthy and pious man, is suddenly beset by a series of calamities that leave him impoverished, bereaved, and covered in painful sores. His friends come to comfort him, but their attempts to explain his suffering only deepen his despair. One of the main arguments that Job's friends offer is the idea that he must have done something to deserve his afflictions. They suggest that God is punishing him for some hidden sin or moral failing. However, Job vehemently denies any wrongdoing and insists that he has always lived in accordance with God's law. He maintains that his suffering is unjust and inexplicable. Another argument that Job's friends put forward is the idea that God must have some higher purpose in mind for Job's suffering. They suggest that his trials are a test of his faith or a means of refining his character. However, Job finds this explanation unsatisfying, as it does not address the fundamental question of why a just and loving God would allow him to suffer so deeply. In his desperation, Job turns to God and pleads for an explanation. He asks why he is suffering and what he has done to deserve such a cruel fate. However, God does not offer a direct answer to Job's questions. Instead, he responds with a series of rhetorical questions that challenge Job's limited human perspective and emphasize the vastness and complexity of the divine plan. The Book of Job is a complex and profound piece of literature from ancient Israel, believed to have been written between the 6th and 4th centuries BCE. It tells the story of a man named Job who experiences unimaginable suffering and loss, and raises profound questions about the nature of God, the existence of evil, and the meaning of human life. The book presents various perspectives on these questions through a series of dialogues between Job and his friends, as well as a dramatic appearance by God himself. Ultimately, Job's faith and righteousness are vindicated, but the book does not offer any easy answers or resolutions to the difficult issues it raises. Instead, the Book of Job encourages readers to wrestle with these questions and to trust in God's wisdom and goodness, even in the midst of suffering and uncertainty. It remains a powerful and thought-provoking work that continues to inspire readers and scholars today.